Now, my wife and I have 2 kids, so this subject is really important to me, and I'm excited to bring this subject to you in a format that should be really, really helpful, and I should be able to bring you a lot of different information. So Durango doesn't have all of the different school options that places like Dallas, Denver, Houston, Phoenix has, and we don't have all the same options as far as indoor things to do in the winter, like some of these colder places like Denver has. So in this video, we're gonna go into great detail of the school options, some of the things that parents have told me when asking them about certain questions that you guys were asking me to ask. So I put out a poll. I asked, what are the main questions that you want me to ask other parents as well as the school district to give you more information about the schools? And then I went out and asked those questions and got some really good, thorough answers from some family and friends in Durango and surrounding areas. So we're gonna give you some of those answers in this video. We're also gonna sit down, interview my wife, as we have an almost 2 and almost 3-year-old, kind of from her perspective, as well as her mom group, some other friends and family that she knows, and get her perspective on what they feel like the school scene is here, how the schools are, how the options are for just things to do for kids in general. Then we're also going to talk about all the things to do in the winter for kids as well as families. We're going to show you some phenomenal options that you probably never heard of at all, and we're really going to break down, again, those opinions. We're going to really open up the pros and cons. We're not just going to show you the great things that Durango has to offer, and we're going to jump into it right now. Now, before we start talking about the schools, guys, if you've been thinking about moving to Durango, Southwest Colorado, Pagosa Springs, Mancos, Bayfield, give me a call, text, or email. I'd love to help you out with all of your real estate needs here in this area. Licensed realtor here in Durango, Southwest Colorado, as well as New Mexico. Again, would love to help you out with any of your real estate needs. Happy to hop on a Zoom call, as well as put a drone in the air, give you a drone tour of any subdivisions, neighborhoods, or even properties for you, as well as do any walkthrough tours and much more. So let's hop on a Zoom call. We'll discuss what you're looking for, kind of help you dial in the areas that you're looking for and some areas maybe you're not aware of. Let's dive back into the video. Now, the first thing we're gonna do is talk about the schools. But before, I'm gonna kind of tell you a little bit about what to expect in this video as far as a structure of this video. So we're gonna talk about the schools. It's gonna be kind of a little bit more of a brief overview while we still go in depth on certain areas. We're gonna still give you very specific information. We're gonna still give you specific opinions from parents that I spoke to. We're still going to give you specific information from the school district regarding questions that some family and friends asked me to ask the school district. But this is not a video all about the schools, so we're also going to make sure to touch on other things like things to do in Durango for kids, things to do with families, areas to potentially live. We're also going to interview my wife, like I mentioned earlier. So with that said, I want you guys to make sure to subscribe to my channel if you're at all interested in this subject, because in the next, say, 3 to 4 weeks, I'm really working hard on a video that's going to be much longer and cover all of the different schools in detail, cover homeschooling, cover daycare, cover every aspect of the schools here in Durango, go way more in depth than this video will. This video will just kind of touch on it compared to that video. So make sure to subscribe, keep a lookout for that video. Anyway, let's dive in. So few frequently asked questions from parents we know is what we're going to start with. I asked a lot of our family and friends with kids what questions they want me to ask the school district, like I mentioned a minute ago. And the first one is, what is the likelihood my student will become successful if they go to these schools? So the answer from the school district was, if your student attends a school in the Durango school district, strong likelihood they will thrive academically, and evidenced by numerous success stories and performance metrics. For instance, the district has consistently demonstrated improvements in key academic areas such as reading and math. They cited in 2021, 2022, students across various grades saw noticeable achievements increases, including 6th grade at Miller Middle School, scoring 22% above the national average in reading, and 10th graders improving reading proficiency by 12%. So they wanted to throw out some actual stats they've got, which I think is really helpful. Several Durango schools have also been recognized at the state level for their academic growth. 2022, Florida Mesa, Riverview, and Needham Elementary Schools received the Governor's Distinguished Improvement Award for exceptional student growth, which demonstrates the district's commitment to closing learning gaps and promoting academic excellence. The district's consistent focus on innovative teaching methods like project-based learning and the science reading room further supports student success. And guys, just from my own words, in all these interviews and talking to parents, one thing that I've really seen done well, at least just from my perspective, I don't have kids in the schools, but from a lot of friends and family that I've spoken to, it seems like there definitely is a good handful of schools that do have a lot of project-based learning, which just in my personal opinion, I think is really, really helpful and really good instead of just sitting at a desk 8 hours or 7 hours a day. So wanted to point that out just as something I'm noticing overall. Now the next question our family and friends asked me to ask is, what is the academic rigor or unique opportunities such as electives and certain topics? So the curriculum is designed to engage students in critical thinking and problem solving with an emphasis on project-based learning, just what I mentioned again. So like I mentioned, I just continue to see this recurring. So nice to see, in my opinion. Emphasis on project-based learning in subjects like math and science. For example, math instruction incorporates real-world scenarios to deepen students' understanding and application of mathematical concepts. Next question was, what are just unique electives and topics? Kind of within that same question. District provides students with a wide array of elective courses and specialized learning opportunities. District offers programs like the Soil Outdoor Learning Lab, which gives students hand-on experience in environmental science and outdoor education. Additionally, district's career pathway projects help students explore different careers through electives that focus on subjects like engineering, culinary arts, and health sciences. Then the student-teacher ratio. On average, a ratio tends to range between 1 to 18 to 1 to 24 across most schools, especially in elementary grades, though exact numbers may vary by the school. And then I asked them to tell me about sports that are offered through the different grades. So Durango School District offers a variety of sports across different grade levels. At the middle school level, sports like basketball, volleyball, track, and soccer are available. For high school students, the range expands to include sports such as football, cross country, soccer, swimming, and skiing. District emphasizes both team sports and individual activities, encouraging students to stay active and develop teamwork skills. Now, with that said, I want to mention there are a lot of extracurricular activities if your kids are going to be homeschooled or just to be aware of in general that they can plug into. So there's something called Devo. Devo is really, really popular. It's a biking program really for all ages. They even have adult programs within Devo. Now I'm going to read a quote that I wrote down from their website. Devo strives to develop and better the lives of Durango's youth through the power of the bicycle. With Devo, riders learn the power of effective goal setting, experience the thrill of tangible improvements, and are inspired and empowered to translate these lessons to other aspects of their life. Devo believes that bikes are an incredible tool for enacting positive, tangible change in the lives of the people who ride them. This, at the end of the day, is the guiding force that inspires all of us working with Devo. Now, I'll just say from personal experience, there are a couple of girls that I coached for cross country, just privately, cross country and track, and they do Devo. They really, really love Devo. And what they've told me is they've had days where they'll go for a 2-hour bike ride, they'll go in horse gulch, they'll go up, we have 30, I want to say 50 plus miles of biking trails throughout Durango, just in town Durango itself. And they've done just about every trail there is to ride throughout Durango. So they're getting to do a diverse amount of different trails, and from just learning to ride to getting way more skilled at climbing, to getting skilled at pacing, getting skilled at actually, working on your bike. They learn so many different things and different skills. And just from my personal experience, they really develop a sense of maybe just confidence through biking, because biking can be so frustrating, especially on the trail. And so that's just a few things from my own opinion. And the next thing I want to mention is skiing lessons. There are skiing lessons at Purgatory Ski Resort. Keep in mind, kids under 12 ski for free at Purgatory. I want to make sure you guys are aware of that. Then just want to mention Purgatory offers full day lessons for kids starting at age 4. All right, now let's talk about daycare. So I asked a good friend of ours what her opinion was on the daycare that their kids are going to. And this was her response. So I did ask her about the pros and the cons. Again, want to give you guys the full honest feedback. Her kids are going to River House Daycare, and her pros, her likes, were family community oriented, lots of opportunity for parents to get engaged with the school. She said beautiful, clean, safe facility in a great location. They are located located on Florida Road, just up the road from the ice rink. And so they're right in town, really central for everybody. They provide breakfast and lunch for the kids and source as much as they can that is organic and local. They actually provide James Ranch beef, which I'll go on a quick tangent and just say that my family and I shop at James Ranch for their beef. We buy their beef in bulk. So I highly recommend going there for lunch if you're just visiting, as well as getting your beef from there if you enjoy a good burger. Then she said the school administration is incredibly kind. They work hard to ensure a good experience for your kids. Teachers are very loving and intentional about creating a good learning environment. Then her cons or dislikes were the only downside is there is quite a bit of teacher turnover. This is not unique to our childcare center, as I know most daycares in Durango do struggle with this. And she mentioned one more like is that they offer parent date nights, much less expensive than a regular babysitter, each month for parents to go out. Then she mentioned it is one of only 2 501c3 nonprofit early childhood centers in Durango, and it's the only nonprofit center that takes children under 18 months, so they serve a really big need in our community. So definitely I recommend going on Google, looking at reviews, looking them up. Keep in mind the other thing that my wife is also going to mention in the interview that I do with her in a minute is that it is very hard to find. There's not a great availability, so you definitely have to get on that waiting list, definitely call ahead, and definitely just get in line, make sure that you're on that list. All right, now I'm just going to give you a few differentiating factors about some of the elementary schools, middle schools, as well as the high schools here. So we've got options for elementary schools like Riverview and Needham Elementary. Provide a community-oriented approach where parents are often involved in school activities. Many parents appreciate the small class sizes, personal attention their kids receive there. Then let's hop over to middle and high school. So we've got Escalante Middle School, you've got Durango High School, and Durango Big Picture as well. Durango Big Picture have a focus on academics, but also extracurricular activities such as skiing, outdoor clubs, which are essential to living in a mountain town, of course. High school also offers dual enrollment programs with Fort Lewis College, which is also right here in town Durango, so your kids could start earning college credits while still in high school. So again, just to mention kind of how I'm forming this video, is I'm just touching on some highlights here, and then keep in mind I'm working on a much longer, much more detailed video all about the schools here in Durango. So then let's talk about private alternative schools. If you're interested in private education or alternative learning models, so Durango has the Animus High School, which follows more of a project-based learning curriculum. Then there's also Mountain Middle School, known for its innovative and technology-driven approach to learning. In that video that I'm working on, it should be out within the next 30 days approximately from the release date of this video. I'm actually going to interview 2 girls, again, that I coached for cross country and track, really good friends of ours, and they talk all about their experience over at Mountain Middle School. So let's talk homeschooling a little bit, just touch on a few things that could help you guys as far as homeschooling. There's Willowbend Learning Collective, and that's a homeschooling program, nature-based homeschool enrichment program. They have an outdoor campus in Falls Creek Valley, as well as an indoor space. Then they have a thing called Shared School, which is through the 9R school district here. Shared School is an enrichment program. You do go to a brick and mortar location 1 to 2 times a week, and they do kind of the fun stuff, you know, drama, art, Spanish, all of those kind of funner classes, if you will. And then I want to mention a Facebook group, Durango Area Homeschoolers, really good resource. Hop on there, ask your questions. And then another thing to look into is classical conversations. A lot of parents were recommending people look into this regarding homeschooling and just extracurricular things to do as well. You don't have to be homeschooled to be plugged into this as well. And then my wife will mention this later, but regarding music, Stillwater is a great resource for your kids to learn music. They have a ton of different classes, ton of different age levels, and our kids go there. They're only almost 2 and almost 3, but they really enjoy it there as well. My wife was just telling me all about it last night and how their new teacher, how they really enjoy the new teacher that they have there. Now, just a few more things about the schools. A number of schools have outdoor education programs. I know I kind of mentioned this briefly, but just want to emphasize that. Really take advantage of the local geography. They've got some great options with Mountain Middle School. The girls that I coached in cross country and track have told me that they'll have even a class where they just do mountain biking after school or even during school hours. There's just a bunch of different extracurricular things that you're never going to see in a bigger bigger city that's in the middle of town. You know, you're not gonna be able to go mountain biking in the middle of the day in another bigger city. So there are some really cool things that just take advantage of our outdoor area and of our town. All right, now let's actually go and interview my wife, Sharia, and we're gonna get her perspective from raising an almost 2 and almost 3-year-old here in Durango. And then she's also gonna shed some light and give some perspective from her friends. She's in a mom's group. She's got a lot of friends that are also moms and have ages of, or kids with ages really ranging. She's got friends that have kids in middle school, kids in elementary school, kids in daycare. And so she's gonna give you their perspective as well. So that way, if your kids aren't the age of our kids, this should help you a lot as well. Let's dive into that now. All right, so let's start by giving you some context for this interview. I'm here with my wife. Thanks for coming out. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through this list of questions I've got for you guys. We're gonna talk about childcare, outdoor activities, healthcare. We're gonna talk about community social life, work-life balance. We're gonna talk about just kind of general advice for moving to Durango from my wife's perspective. Now keep in mind, we have a almost 2-year-old and almost 3-year-old. So just coming from her perspective, we don't have kids that are in high school, middle school, or elementary age. So we're gonna kind of focus on that, but it's gonna be somewhat general as well. So if you do have kids that are older, this should still really help you out, so stick around for these questions as well. Okay, so the first question, Trey, is going to be, what do you think makes Durango a family-friendly place for young kids, just from your perspective?
Yeah, so just this morning, for example, me and the boys, we went to music together. It's a class for 0 to 5-year-olds, and it's with Stillwater Music, which is a local music that they teach music classes in town, about for all ages actually. So we were there this morning, and it's just a 45-minute class, and then afterwards just went right over across the street to the Powerhouse, which is a kids museum, and they also have Tiny Tuesdays, which is exactly for our age of kids as well, but they also do offer times for older kids also. Yeah. So we spent some time there. They played, saw some friends, actually met up with 2 friends and their kids, and then we just walked on the river trail just down to the grocery store, got some groceries, and then walked back on the river trail back to our car. Okay. It was just a wonderful morning. That was Love it. One of my favorite mornings.
Okay. Let's go into a little more detail for everybody watching. Powerhouse. Tell them a little bit more about that. What's there to do?
Okay. Yeah. There's an indoor and outdoor space. So there's different things that you can do, different activities that are science experiments. So for probably a little more older kids to try and figure out, they're kind of like brain teasers. There's actually the community snake. Her name is Priscilla. And so she gets to kind of come out and be a show and tell item sometimes. And the boys love her. They just run over to her tank every day and see if she's out and about. Yeah. There's also this other quiet room that has like a wooden train set. It has play, like dress up clothes for them to try on. There's this other area where you can shoot little paper rockets. It's just like a kind of an exploration, mini Explora, I would say. Kind of like a small town feel of Explora. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. And then she was talking about the grocery store, which is Natural Grocers. We shop there a lot for our food. And then the Animus River Trail right on the river. We're just talking a little bit about the Animus River Trail, 8.9-mile river trail going from north to south end of town. And so which neighborhoods would you recommend for families, just based on your experience with your friends, where they live, areas they like, maybe areas they don't like, for families with young kids?
Yeah, so I would say kind of more up north, kind of where we live. It's not necessarily, I would say for more younger kids, there's not as many kids up in this area. I would say more in town or like the Three Springs area. Our friends that live there have definitely a bigger community of kids. Right. And I see a lot of kids, you know, in town riding the back of their parents' bikes, for example, like to go to different events or stores or whatever, and you definitely see more activity like with kids in those areas. Okay, so
Three Springs, in town, maybe parts of the Animus Valley.
Yeah, probably parts of it, yeah. And then I would say also out towards, what's like on Hesperus?
Like Durango West?
Durango West, yeah.
So Durango West 1 and 2 as well. We've got some friends from church that live up there. Definitely, okay. And then how important is proximity to parks and outdoor spaces for us as a family?
That's super important. I would say we have a lot of meetups with friends there, at least I do when I'm with the boys. So we meet up with friends and their kids and kind of utilize the playgrounds as well as the grass space for picnics and hangouts. And us, you know, for example, us last night, we just us 4 as a family went out and just had dinner and played on the playground, and it was a great evening for us.
Yeah, and just to talk specifics, there's a playground that's in the Animus Valley, right behind the school. It's the playground for the school for Animus View Elementary, and they are bordering on Red Rock Range as well as Dalton Ranch, some of those neighborhoods right around Dalton Ranch. So there is a playground, not public for all the time, but after school and on weekends, you could use it whenever you want. It's a really nice sized playground. There's a soccer field there, so great area in the Animus Valley, although there aren't any other parks in the Animus Valley, just to touch on that a little bit more. Childcare. Can you talk a little bit about just how easy or difficult is it to find quality childcare, just based on your experience of the friends you have who do have kids in childcare?
Yes, I would say my biggest resource is my mom's group. So there's moms of different ages that have different needs for childcare. And I've heard from all of them actually that it's been a struggle to get on the list for childcare.
Okay.
So you have to plan ahead, essentially. If you know you're going to need it, plan ahead, get yourself on the list. And then by the time you need it, you should be close, if not already able to enter into whatever childcare you're looking for.
Yeah.
There's also several nannies, though, I would say. So I think if you do your research, there's Facebook pages actually that have like Durango nanny information available. And so that's where a lot of my friends have gotten their nannies from.
Okay.
And they've kind of tried it. And, there's been different ones that have worked out better than others. And then they kind of just go with the one that has worked the best for them.
Perfect. Okay. Thanks. And then how do you feel about the Durango weather, especially with young kids? And how does it affect just being outdoors and them just experiencing life as well?
Yeah, I'd say the summer is so great. I think there's just so many possibilities to do with young kids. Walks, bike rides, bike trailer in the back, going on hikes. There's a few easy hikes that are young kid friendly where they're, more accessible for them and easier for them to walk. I'd also say just being outside, like the parks. So I'd say also like the lakes as well. Like we have like lakes that are available to take them. And the winter, I would say, is a little more challenging with young kids. I think with older kids or, you're able to like get more into like the winter activities. Younger kids, it's a little tricky. We've definitely taken our kids out snowshoeing and they've been like in our backpacks in the back, and we've taken them sledding. So we do have like some activities that we like to do with them, which is great. I'm glad that there are those options. Otherwise we'd be stuck at home the whole time.
Totally.
But yeah, I'd say it's a little bit easier as the kids get older. However, there are options for young kids as well.
Definitely. Yeah. And after this, we will show you guys some other footage of some places to ski, some places to sled, some good hikes. And one of those hikes that we went on is actually in the Animus Valley. There's a little somewhat easy hike that goes kind of up the ridge on the west side of the Animus Valley. So there's some good hikes there. There's some good biking in Three Springs for kids. What are some of the other locations that you like to take the kids hiking?
There's Falls Creek. I definitely like that area because they're more flat trails.
Right.
You can see it off in distance. So if our little ones kind of bike a little far or walk a little far ahead of us, we can still see them.
Right.
I have also liked going, I think you mentioned Three Springs also, but like there's also for biking for our almost 3-year-old, like we got to take him out there for his first time, like first official mountain biking experience where he was able to go on little hills and everything, and it's his size, like he felt comfortable with it. And there's like a separate loop that's off of the main loop, so that way he's not running into older bikers that make it a little more hazardous for him.
Right. So that, along with the Animus River Trail, are some of the only green trails that are basically really flat or fairly flat overall. So great point. And then what outdoor activities are our kids enjoying the most? What activities should parents know that are out there for their toddlers that are just different from a big city?
Specifically for toddlers, not necessarily for...
You can go for anyone.
Yeah. Okay. I think what stands out to me a lot, kind of for all ages, well, more for older ages, I would say, are the camps that are available in the summers.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
there's fly fishing camps, there's biking camps, there's basketball camps, there's volleyball camps. There's so many different options for camps in the summer, as well as typical summer camps.
Yeah.
I didn't think I expected that coming to a smaller town. I would have expected that more from a bigger town for that availability. For toddlers, I definitely would say it's a way friendly, just having kids out in general. Like, so on the river trail, you see all ages, from like tiny strider bike aged kids all the way to, high school. I think it's just it's such a friendly place. Like, you're just expected to see people outside no matter what age they are. And so I think people know that, and so they're aware. And so I don't feel like there's some sort of danger or like, like my kid's gonna get hit by somebody else on their bike or something like that. I just think there's just this awareness and this just like family friendly, just be outside and just expect to see people of all ages.
Totally. Makes sense. So how would you describe the healthcare options in Durango, especially for kids?
We're with Four Corners Children's, and Jessica, who is, our pediatrician, she's so great. And it's just like a smaller kind of boutique children's clinic. I do know of some of my other friends that have other clinics that they go to as well. And so it seems like there's definitely a wide array of kind of being able to find what you're looking for.
Options. Yeah. Okay.
As well as children's dentistry. There is also a children's dentist in town as well.
Perfect. What advice would you give to families about finding pediatricians or accessing just emergency care? Just how to go about finding them and who is going to be a best fit for them?
I would definitely look up like websites, and then actually the best thing for me actually has been networking. So being able to get plugged into like say my mom's group or people that I just know and trust and kind of have the same values as me, just kind of getting to know what their experience has been. So I mean, you can look up stuff online, and that's actually how I found ours, like just by looking at her website and trying to get to know about her specifically. But I will say, like now after meeting more people, it's like I've gotten to know and learn more why they value who they're seeing.
Makes sense. Okay. And how would you describe the family and social community in Durango?
Yeah, so that's been really wonderful to see as well, because I think we've been able to connect with other families, like other young families specifically. So we don't feel like we're alone here. Like we feel like we can kind of learn from other families as well as just have the community support. So I again, like today, like being at the Powerhouse, it's like there was, I was in the room with our oldest and with my friend's daughter, and then our little one ran out of the room into the big room, and so she went after him while I stayed with the other two. And like I don't have to ask her. It's like I feel like we have kind of that village feel, where it's like it takes a village, and it's so sweet because like we're kind of looking after each other's kids. And I will say also the culture, at least the one that we've plugged into, has been like a culture of growth. So while we're growing, raising our kids, learning from them and learning how to be parents and learning more about ourselves and in our own marriage, I believe we've really surrounded ourselves with people that are also growing. And so I feel like we're on this trajectory of just growth. And that's been so wonderful to feel, because it hasn't been that way everywhere we've lived.
Right. I totally agree. Yeah. What conveniences or lack thereof should parents be aware of? Grocery stores, restaurants, just amenities, things to do for kids, things like that.
Yeah. So there's definitely restaurants in town that I would say are family friendly, especially I'm thinking of Zia is probably the biggest, our oldest calls it Zia House, but it's Zia Taqueria. And we just love that place. It's affordable. It's family friendly. It's just really casual and just really wonderful. There's other options in town too, just the pizza places that we have in town. And then I would say the clothing and like goods, I guess, if you will, a little more challenging. I will say our Facebook Marketplace is really great out here. Like I found a lot of things there that we've needed, winter wear, and, other things that we've needed along the way. However, a lot of people here order online just because there's not as much accessible in town, or just different price points. Right.
And then you'll make it down to Farmington every now and then. Can you discuss that a little bit?
So yes, I have gone to Farmington. There's a Sam's there. There's Target. There's other shopping opportunities there.
Right. No Costco.
I do go to Albuquerque a lot as well, though, because that's where I tend to go more to visit other families. So I definitely hit Trader Joe's and the shopping things that we don't have here. So
yeah. So distances to things. We've got about 55 minutes from Durango to Farmington, and then what about 3.5 to 4 hours down to Albuquerque, depending on which part of town you're going to. So what are the top 3 pieces of advice you would give to parents moving to Durango?
I definitely would say plug in as quick as you can. Find kind of a community to plug into, because I definitely would have appreciated doing that sooner. And there were reasons why I didn't. I was going back and forth to Albuquerque, but essentially plug in as quick as you can. The more you plug in, the more you're going to learn about the area, because I think just knowing what's available, what's out there, what people appreciate, what people enjoy. And then the second thing would probably be to just do your research on where you want to live, like just depending on what your interests are. So, if you want to be close to the skiing, or if you want to be close to the lake, if you want, just depending on where you want to be close to, what you value.
Definitely.
And then the third thing I would say is to expect kind of the unexpected. That's kind of been my experiences in a good way. Like I didn't think I expected to grow as much as we have, or even to really know what it felt like to have the seasons that we have here, because we just weren't from this sort of climate. So just to be prepared and to kind of know what to, what to expect.
As far as just being a smaller town, what are some examples of just expecting expecting things would you give?
Yeah, so probably just knowing to expect that the accessibility for things that you want to purchase or find might be is harder, and also just I think the part that I didn't expect also was just the community aspect that we have here.
Yeah.
So I didn't expect to have such a wonderful community to walk alongside us while we're raising our young kids.
Yeah, it's been really nice. Awesome. Let me know, guys, if you want or if you have any questions for Sheree, if you want her to expound on anything, shoot me an email, text, give me a call, and I'm more than happy to pass on any information, any questions you guys have for her, and she can answer your questions as well as myself. So from here, we're going to go into a few other questions, a few other concepts that are going to really help you with this video. Let's head to those now. All right, so I think this is actually a great segue to actually play a part of a video that I shot last year in the winter, and we're going to actually show you a lot of different things you can do with your kids in the winter. We're going to talk about waterfall hikes, we're going to talk about ice climbing, we're going to talk about places to hike, to snowshoe, to ski. We're going to talk about indoor areas that your kids can go and play. I'm taking some examples from things that Sheree has done with our kids as well, and we're going to roll that clip right now. The number one thing on my list is going to be to hike down here to Cascade Canyon to check out these frozen waterfalls. This area is absolutely stunning. Make sure you have micro spikes on your shoes or crampons because the trail down here is fairly steep, a little bit sketchy, and it's definitely gonna have snow on it, possibly ice. And if you're an ice climber or rock climber, you can do some mixed climbing in here, and it's still pretty close to town. You're about 33 minutes from downtown Durango here, and we're just about a couple minutes past Purgatory Ski Resort. Walk about quarter mile up the road, up Lime Creek Road, and you're gonna see a little bit of a trail because there's people coming down here to ice climb. If you're unsure of how to get here or have questions about this, please shoot me a message, give me a call, give me a text. I'm gonna start with a list of snowshoe trails that I really love and my family really loves. The first one's actually gonna be Lime Creek Road, which is going to be right up this trail from where we're at here. And it's gonna actually go up to Spud Lake. Now you can Google that, really, really pretty lake in the summer, but also a great hike in the winter with snowshoes on. Fairly long hike, so definitely prepare for that and plan for that. The next one is going to be the Meadow Loop in the Horse Gulch Trail System. So that's going to be a short walk from downtown Durango, and so you're really close, really convenient. Then the next one on my list is going to be along the shores of Vallecito Reservoir. A little bit longer drive, but really pretty. And then they also have cross-country skiing trails along there as well. Try to get there early because parking will just back up along the road. Church Camp Trail is my next one. So that is actually outside of Falls Creek Ranch, which is a really pretty subdivision. If you haven't seen any of my videos on that subdivision, worth looking those up. Shoot me a message or comment and I can send you the link to that video. But that is only about 15 minutes from downtown, 10 to 15 minutes from downtown Durango. Next one's gonna be Hermosa Creek Trail. This is probably one of my favorites. I live really close to this one, so I could actually go from my house to this trail. The next one is along County Road 124 in La Plata Canyon. So it doesn't take much digging around on the internet to find people that have triggered avalanches in here. So the key to this is don't avoid going here. This is a really pretty spot to go to. The key is just not going off trail or off the road. And guys, this is why you guys got to reach out to me, because I am more than happy to share a list, jump on a Zoom call with you, kind of do a map tour of Durango and show you subdivisions that are really close to these awesome snowshoeing trails. And the next item on my list is snowmobiling. Now, if you guys haven't been snowmobiling, you can rent one or you can even take out a guide. Several spots that I really like are going to be all the way behind Lemon Reservoir. There's also one kind of to the east of Vallecito Reservoir as well. And then there are some great spots out just past Purgatory Ski Resort as well. All right, the next item on my list is going to be skiing. So there's a few spots to downhill ski. It's going to be Purgatory, Wolf Creek, which is really one of my favorites. And then there's going to be the Hesperus Ski Mountain, which is really, really small, but worth checking out as well. Then if you guys didn't know, we have heli skiing, which starts from Telluride and ends back in Telluride, but they fly you over to the Silverton Mountain, which, if you didn't know, is actually the highest mountain in North America. No cut runs besides what they did for avalanche mitigation. And then their booking deadline is 90 days prior to when you want to go out with them. And according to their website, $19.50 per person, 4-person minimum. And then that gets you 6 runs. And again, starts in Telluride, finishes in Telluride. Durango even has the Polar Express. Check it out. That's right, we have the Polar Express.
This is the Polar Express.
It is super popular among families with kids. It's a much, much shorter ride, and it's themed around the Polar Express movie. So they have people dressed up just like the characters in the movie.
Polar Express.
They're reading the book to you out loud. They're doing dances. They're doing different songs. They're handing you hot chocolate. It's a really, really fun time. We just took my almost 2-year-old on it, and he absolutely loved it. I would say it's maybe a hair long of a trip for somebody that's that age, but maybe a little bit older, and I think it would have been perfect. Then a few other things about the train ride that goes all the way up to Cascade or Silverton. So the Silverton train ride is about 7 hours. It's a full day. You stop in Silverton, then you have time to get out and go to lunch in Silverton. There's some great restaurants there. Feel free to reach out to me for recommendations. Then a few other notes. You can move from your reserved seat over to the open air car to really experience all the beauty that you're experiencing on the train. And once you get to Cascade, if you end up doing that 4 to 5 hour Cascade ride instead, they give you about an hour to get out, have lunch, walk around, and you're actually right by the river. So you can get in the river and play around, maybe bring some towels with you, I'd recommend, if it's in the summer, of course. And I definitely recommend going in the winter as well. Prices are a little bit lower, but it's super gorgeous with seeing all that snow on the trees in the winter as well. Just a different environment, different scene. We're now at Durango Hot Springs, which is probably one of the most popular things to do in the winter, as well as coming back from Purgatory Ski Resort. So we're about 14 minutes from downtown Durango, and this is situated in the Animus Valley, just across from Dalton Ranch and Trimble Crossing. Now they have 32 mineral hot springs as well as 2 cold plunges, kind of one of my favorite things. Then they also have private Japanese style ofuro cedar tubs that can be booked for 1 or 2 people, and you can actually control the temperature to whatever you want, as cold or as hot as you want it. And then they also offer massages and have a spa on site. They even have a food truck that has really, really good food. We just ate here the other day, and then they also offer alcohol as well. They have a really good margarita that I just had the other day as well. Now we're at the Durango Rec Center. They're on the north part of town, and a few reasons that I really like it in particular are they actually have about 130-yard track upstairs next to the gym. So you can actually run indoors if it's snowing outside, if it's icy outside, and it gives you that nice option to not just be stuck on the treadmill all winter. Then they have just about all the weights that I need, from free weights, dumbbells, machines. They have a good amount of treadmills, ellipticals, as well as stair climbers. Then they have a really nice rock wall. They have several basketball courts where they will also set up volleyball nets and have club volleyball teams meet there. My wife and I were actually on a volleyball team a couple winters ago, so it's a nice thing to do to kind of break up the winter. Then on the other side, sometimes they'll set up pickleball courts as well, or pickleball nets rather. And then next to the basketball courts, they have 2 really nice racquetball courts as well. Then they have a really nice pool. On one side, they have lap swimming, they have diving boards, and they even have a rope swing. Then on the other side, it's more for kids and younger kids. They have kind of a really shallow area with several little slides. They actually just renovated. We actually just took our son there for his 2nd birthday, and he absolutely loved it. Was crying when we had to go home for his nap. But then they also have a really big slide that's great for adults as well as kids. They also have a hot tub and a bunch of other little amenities in that pool section. Something else I really love about the location of the rec center is it's located right on the Animus River Trail. You can see the river trail right behind me, river right there, beautiful views behind us. And then the rec center is right here behind me. Now we're at Bears Ranch, and they offer old-fashioned sleigh and carriage rides, and these guys are in the perfect location. They're just at the entrance of when you get into Haviland Lake. And so on the sleigh ride, you're gonna have views of Haviland Lake, Needles Mountain, Engineer Mountain, as well as these Hermosa Cliffs right behind me. The sleigh ride is about 45 minutes and they provide you with hot chocolate and blankets. Other thing that's really cool about these sleigh rides is they offer a VIP tiki sleigh ride that departs at 5 p.m. And what's really unique about that is it's as the sun is setting, and so you'll have that alpine glow, that beautiful view of Engineer Mountain as well as Needles Mountain, and then as well as the Hermosa Cliffs behind me here. And what's cool about it as well is the tiki torches are gonna light the sleigh trail on the way back to the ranch. Another thing to do in the winter is take a tour of James Ranch. Now, as you can see behind me, there are cows grazing out there, so you can walk down by the fence and see the cows. And then in the summer, they actually have a guided tour where you can see how the cheese is made. You can see a lot more of the property in the summer. And then I also wanted to mention they actually have a Homestead school. I think it's a couple days a week. Now at Chapman Hill, Durango's ice skating rink, which is located in town Durango. They offer public skating, drop-in hockey, and even adult hockey leagues, as you can see behind me. They have a Fort Lewis club hockey program as well as a youth hockey program, which is really, really competitive. So if you have kids that are interested in hockey, definitely worth looking into, giving them a call or hopping on their website, and definitely worth swinging by. They even have disco nights, so worth checking this out. Now, right outside of Chapman Hill Ice Rink is Chapman Hill, which has 500 feet of vertical. It has 2 rope tows and a bump course. Really fun. What I love about it too is it's lit up at night, so you can come skiing or snowboarding at night. We're now at Christ the King Lutheran Church, and this is where Cafe Al Play is located. And so to tell you a little bit about this is probably one of the only indoor spaces for kids to play, besides maybe the rec center, but where it really has kind of your jungle gyms, your playground type area. And so to tell you a little bit more about it regarding in the winter, they're upstairs in the church in a big, bright area that overlooks the outdoor playground. Indoor space is available for drop-in use Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then in the summer, they have 3 fenced-in playground-themed areas for different ages. They have an infant play area, wobbler and toddler play area, a sandbox, an open space for ride-on toys, baby swings, climbing structures, picnic tables, and more. We really love taking our kids here. We have a 2-year-old and almost a 1-year-old. They really enjoy it here, and it's really a great place for them to come in the winter because going to the rec center isn't maybe quite as ideal at their age. Playgrounds outside, where our high in the winter is about 31 degrees in January, so not ideal in the winter for them to be maybe outside as long. Downtown Durango has a monthly gallery walk, and then you'd also be surprised at how many theater productions there are throughout the year, from Fort Lewis College to the downtown area. Then some girls that I coach that are in middle school and elementary age from our church actually really enjoy going to Durango Aerial Arts and Acrobatics. They love them, and they actually do some performances as well and do a great job. We really enjoyed going to one of their performances recently. Something else that they really enjoy doing is going to Stillwater Music. So they are the kind of premier place to go for music classes for kids. Tons of different music classes. Our 2-year-old, or almost 2-year-old, was just in their music classes and he loved it. He's still singing some of their songs and drumming just like they taught him. All right, we are back. I hope you enjoyed that. And what I want to do now is actually recap a few things, but mainly give you a few more areas that I recommend checking out, a few more things that you can do. So we do have zip lining here in Durango, just west of town by about a couple-minute drive. And then I also want to mention Purgatory Resort has some awesome activities in the summer. Downhill mountain biking, they've got a roller coaster. Then we've also got the Animus River Trail, 8.9-mile river trail going through downtown Durango. It goes from the north all the way to the south part right around Home Depot. And then the north end is at Oxbow, where I'm actually filming right now. What's really cool about this area is from here, if you like to road bike or like to run and want longer course, from here you can hop onto County Road 203. You do cross the highway, but then you're onto County Road 203, and that takes you, I want to say 10, maybe 8+ miles in the Animus Valley. Really pretty views. There's a waterfall off of County Road 203. So just a really pretty area in general if you want a longer course, longer area to ride or run. Then I want to emphasize, we've got places like Engineer Mountain to hike. You've got Vallecito Lake, some great hiking up north of Vallecito Lake. There is also Spud Lake that I really recommend. A lot of people love going up that way. That is north of downtown Durango. There are so many other areas. I'm actually going to kind of rattle off a list of our favorite areas as well that we like to hike more specifically. Now, just the other day, I sat down with a client and he asked me, what are some of the top hikes I need to do in a couple days that I'm in town? So I'm just going to start by telling you those, kind of just the top ones. So Stevens Creek as well as Haviland Creek, which are up in the Animus Valley. Those are 7 and I believe 4 miles. Let me look. Yeah, 3.9 miles. So one is a little bit steeper than the other, but they both climb up to the top of Missionary Ridge. Absolutely breathtaking views looking over the Animus Valley. Then once we go into in-town Durango, I really recommend Animus Mountain. What I love about that hike is it looks right over downtown Durango, and in-town Durango you have really, really pretty views, and it's just a nice hike all around, fairly forested as well. Then if you want a really long hike or potentially a longer hike, Hermosa Creek Trail as well as Jones Creek Trail are both really nice. Hermosa Creek is more kind of undulating. Jones Creek climbs in elevation quite a bit. And you've got less views in there. You're more just in the forest. Hermosa Creek is also a really good kind of moderate biking trail. If you're not really advanced, looking for something kind of more intermediate, Hermosa Creek Trail up north in the Animus Valley is also a really good one. Now there's tons more trails. There's a ton of trails right in town Durango. So keep that in mind. Well, let's stay on the path of just things to do, hiking trails to do with your family. One of the best ones is going to be Spud Lake. It's going to take, I did that with my 2-year-old son to give you an idea of the level of difficulty. It only took maybe 30-40 minutes. I want to say it's about 1.5 miles to the lake. Really, really pretty backcountry lake. You don't really need a 4-wheel drive car in the summer to get there. Fairly rocky to get up there, so a little bit of a slower drive, but it's north, just a little bit north of Purgatory Ski Resort by about 5-10 minutes. Well, total driving time, maybe 15 minutes because it's slower driving up there, but really, really pretty lake. There's also Andrews Lake. You can park there, really pretty. There's a nice dock to fish with your kids. And then there's some trails around Andrews Lake. Again, something I try to mention very frequently in these videos is be cognizant of the weather. The weather can change really quickly at higher elevations. Just be aware of thunderstorms. If you start seeing clouds rolling in, you can get lightning, a lot of lightning up here in the mountains. So just be very aware of that. Few other trails. There's going to be some great trails near Purgatory Ski Resort. There's a trail called the Animus River Trail, not to be confused by the one in town Durango, that goes downhill for a while all the way down to the Animus River. Very, very pretty views, and it's right behind or across the street from Purgatory Ski Resort where Twilight Lake is. What I love about that is if you're, say, a family of 4, maybe you have older kids and younger kids, you can take maybe some older kids on that trail and younger kids can stay at Twilight Lake, can do some paddleboarding, can hang out at the lake. So you've got a lot of just activities right there as well, just right at Purgatory. Now I hope that helps with some hikes. I definitely recommend doing a few of those. Now let's move over to biking. I really recommend a couple different places. I love the Mesa Bike Park. They created this amazing downhill bike park. It's broken into intermediate, advanced, beginner, different trails there. They're adding on to that. They're doing a ton more work on that. But the 2 other trails I recommend are Horse Gulch, which is in that same parking lot. You can access from that same parking lot. And the other one is going to be Twin Buttes. So Twin Buttes, Horse Gulch, and the Mesa Bike Park. I recommend putting those very high on your list. If you're looking for something else, something more difficult, definitely reach out. Happy to discuss that with you. I think that covers at least just some of our top hikes. There's so many more, but that covers some of the top ones that take you to water like Spud Lake or Andrews Lake, where you can drive to water, be in some fishing as well as hiking. And then we covered some mountain biking trails. Keep in mind, there's a ton more up near Silverton, Ouray, near Purgatory. Just pull up All Trails or the Hiking Project. Those apps are really, really good. So I hope that helps regarding those hikes and biking. Now, of course, moving here with the family can be pricey. So I want to hit on that. That could be kind of the elephant in the room. Hey, what does it take to get into Durango as far as cost? So we're going to dive into a few stats here, kind of give you an idea of what the market looks like right now. I'm going to start by saying the in-town Durango city limits market went up quite a bit in the last year. Now we're going to talk about that specifically. All right, so the median home price in the county of Durango, not in town Durango and city limits, in the county is gonna be $644,000, or actually a hair under that, for single family home, and then $865,000 for in town Durango. However, if you're looking for more affordable options, I definitely recommend considering Bayfield as well as Mancos. Both of these are about a 30-35 minute drive, just kind of ranges or depends on where the home is, from downtown Durango. So if you're okay with that drive, they still have some great amenities. They don't have a ton. I'm gonna be honest with you, they don't have a ton compared to Durango because Durango's already a pretty small town. But I wanna point these out. They're really, really cool areas, and there's so many different diverse subdivisions. So for example, in Bayfield, you've got a subdivision called Forest Lakes. They've got a private lake, Lake Simpatico. They back up to National Forest with a ton of access to different trails behind that subdivision. Now those roads in there are dirt roads. They're not extremely well maintained compared to some other subdivisions. Home prices in there really range, but you can get a home in there for around $450,000, kind of on the lower end. And let's talk about prices. So Bayfield in county, the county of La Plata County, is gonna be $545,000 for the median home price. And then in town Bayfield is gonna be $520,000. So you see how much that drops from in town Durango up at $865,000, quite a bit. And I do want to point out they've got the Pine River running right through there. We will put up on the screen some videos that we shot all about Bayfield, where I go into all the pros and cons of living in Bayfield. I show you the grocery store, I show you what it's like to live there, and really give you a good feel. They are a little bit higher elevation. They're right under 7,000 feet elevation, whereas in town Durango is 6,512. So you're definitely going to get a good amount more snow in Bayfield. And then it just depends. If you end up living up closer to Vallecito Lake, which is considered Bayfield as well, they get a ton more snow than Bayfield or Durango. So they are a really cool area. The reason why I've had clients say, I didn't like Vallecito area so much is it feels a little bit more vacation home type feel. You've got a lot of homes in there that are vacation rentals, but I think it's a really, really cool area because you back up to so many different trails and you've got great access to the incredible lake right there. So I just want to hit on a few things regarding areas that are away from Durango that get you into a lower price point if you're looking for that. If you're not looking for a lower price point, say you're looking in the $1 to $2 million range, I still think it's worth looking out towards Bayfield, at least on your way to Bayfield from Durango, as there are some stunning, stunning subdivisions. I'll throw one video up on the screen right now that we did all about riverfront homes. We did a video about that and I really enjoyed shooting that video. There's some great subdivisions on the way to Bayfield as you're maybe, let's call it halfway in between Durango and Bayfield, and then there are some others that are much closer to Bayfield and in Bayfield as well. And then there's some great properties in town, or I shouldn't say in town, but in Durango as well, that are riverfront properties, as well as just stunning, stunning views, those mountain views that you might really be looking for. Then let's talk a little bit about utilities and groceries. So I kind of touched on that a second ago. You don't quite have the amenities in Mancos or Bayfield as you do in Durango. Durango's got some great options. We've got Nature's Oasis. They're kind of like a Whole Foods, if you will. We've got Natural Grocers. You might be familiar with them. They are a chain. And then we've got City Market. We've got Albertsons as well. And then in Bayfield, they just have one, I'd call it a cross between a convenience store and a grocery store. It is a grocery store, but they don't nearly have all your same things that an Albertsons might have, a City Market might have. They don't have all the same options there. And again, I touch on that way more in my pros and cons video of Bayfield. And then let's talk childcare. Childcare is already a challenge in Durango, so it is going to be even tougher in Mancos or Bayfield, but definitely look into your options. I recommend hopping on Durango Connections, I believe it is, on Facebook. That's a great Facebook page to hop on, or the Nextdoor app as well. And just asking your questions there. Also reach out to me, give me a call, text or email. More than happy to provide you with some more info. Happy to connect you with some friends of ours that can give you some more insight as to that as well regarding childcare. All right, now let's talk safety. How safe of a town is it? Now I'm just gonna give you the perspective of somebody and just kind of quote them here. So what they said is, I have 2 middle school boys on on the grid, meaning right in town Durango, you know, within walking distance to downtown, to Main Street. And they and we love the freedom. They said, my boys regularly walk the short distance downtown to get ice cream or go to Maria's bookstore. They get boba tea at the Smiley building, which I highly recommend checking out the Smiley building. Really cool spot. I like to work there a lot. They ride bikes to the rec center. They meet their friends at the Snowdown Parade and Halloween celebrations all by themselves, like we when we were kids. So really want to point out that was just their perspective. You know, I'm not going to speak to the exact stats or the exact amount of crime that we have here, but I'm just going to give somebody's perspective. I think that helps a lot. And then again, I recommend getting on Facebook, getting on nextdoor.com, just asking people's perspective and kind of giving your specific questions regarding that as well. Now, the next thing I want to really make sure you guys are aware of is just the weather. Now, especially if you're moving from somewhere like Houston, Dallas, Phoenix, San Diego, California, just areas where you don't have the amount of snow that we get, or you don't get any snow at all. We get plenty of snow, but at the same time, I wouldn't say it's a ton, especially compared to a lot of other mountain towns. There's a bunch of ways I could go with this conversation. First thing I'm gonna say is, as you hear me say so often, I've shot a video all about the weather in Durango. So I'm gonna throw that up on the screen. And in that video, I talk about how just one of the key points that I make in that video is that we have some of the most mild winters compared to a lot of the other mountain towns. Now, we still get great winters. We still get plenty of snow, especially if you love snow, wanna go skiing, wanna go snowboarding, wanna go do so many activities with your kids. We still get plenty of snow, but we don't just get slammed with snow like you might up in Aspen, Vail, Breckenridge, Telluride, all these other mountain towns, especially if you're comparing a mountain town to Durango, if you're trying to decide where to move, which a lot of my clients are doing that. So I want to mention, make sure to look at this video if you're really unsure about the weather. And I really go line by line comparing the temperatures in the winter, because our temperatures here, I'm just going to jump back over to this video, but because our temperatures here in the winter are quite a bit higher than a lot of these other mountain towns. I'm gonna say we are one of the highest average temps in January compared to all these other mountain towns in Colorado. And then especially if you're comparing to places like Montana or Wyoming or South Dakota. I've got a lot of clients, or several clients, comparing to those other areas as well. So when you compare the temperatures, you compare the amount of snowfall, and then just the amount of winter. Like I was just talking to a client and he said the other area they were looking at is getting winters from, what was it, November, early November, if not mid-October, all the way to like close to May. And so it was almost 6 months out of the year, or more than six, maybe it was to April, almost 6 months out of the year, compared to us where really our winters, our first snowfall is somewhere mid-November is our first snowfall, and usually mid-March to early April, it's really starting to get nicer out. You're able to go for a run with maybe a light jacket on and not a whole lot. And so I really want to make sure you guys are aware of that, just that overall, yes, we get a lot of snow. That's my first warning. Yes, we get a lot of snow, but compared to a lot of other areas, it's not nearly what they get. Then the other kind of warning is be aware of, and I say this in a lot of videos, you might have heard me say this, but be aware of the driveways. Either the steepness is the number one thing, because it's gonna be a lot harder to plow, it's gonna be a lot trickier getting up the driveway, and just marketability of that home if you wanna sell in 5-10 years is trickier. And then the elevation of that home as well. So as you go east or west of downtown Durango, climbs in elevation within about a 15-minute drive or so. So even subdivisions like Durango Ridge Ranch are up higher in elevation, and they have some little bit of winding roads, a little bit trickier to drive. So be aware of those subdivisions, the roads, and again, reach out to me if you're curious about specific subdivisions, specific homes. More than happy to show you the steepness of those driveways. You'll see a lot of listings don't even show the driveway necessarily, or the full driveway, and that can kind of be a red flag. You really want to make sure you can see the size of that driveway as well as the location of that home, really get a good feel for what kind of snowfall they're going to get. Now, a question that I get a lot from parents is what subdivisions, what neighborhoods are going to have other kids for my kids to play with and just be good for my kids. Now, it is a tricky question to answer because there are some neighborhoods where there's plenty of neighborhoods where people do retire in these neighborhoods. So there's definitely going to be a mix of families, retirees, so it can be tricky, but I'm going to see what I can do to answer that question. And I think one of the best ways to answer this question might be just to tell you, where do our friends who have of kids live. So the first place that comes to mind is gonna be Durango West. Durango West 1 and 2, they are west of downtown Durango. And I'm just gonna touch on the key specifics of this neighborhood. What I love about this neighborhood, they have tennis courts, they have basketball courts, they have multiple playgrounds throughout the subdivision, and they have trails that go all throughout the subdivision. It is a really, really cool subdivision, and you're gonna get into some of the lower price points for Durango in this subdivision. I have done videos all about this subdivision before. We will put those up on the screen right now, or a thumbnail of those on the screen. And then another subdivision is gonna be Edgemont. Edgemont Meadows, Edgemont Highlands, Edgemont Ranch. They're about 12-13 minutes from downtown Durango, or from in-town Durango, I should say. And we have some friends that have kids that live there. They do have playgrounds. They have 10+ miles of trails going throughout. They have tennis courts. They have private access to the Florida River. Then in-town Durango is going to be one of the highest on most people's list that are moving here with kids, just in my opinion, and working with a lot of clients with kids, is that there's just a lot of great access to the trails, access to the rec center. Like I brought up earlier, that example of that family where their kids will just walk downtown. You'll see a lot of people with bikes, with e-bikes, biking with their kids on the back of their e-bike. They're going to the grocery store, they're going to the rec center with their bike. Just a different way of life where you can just get around using the Animus River Trail and using kind of your back roads here in town Durango. Just had a client visit here after driving up many, many different subdivisions. And we actually did a whole video about this, but let me say first, after driving a bunch of subdivisions, she decided for her and her family with several kids, they like either Edgemont or in-town Durango. So that kind of highlights the fact that Edgemont and in-town Durango are high on a lot of people's list. And we, like I mentioned a second ago, we'll put the video up that we just did all about kind of her story and her journey of which subdivisions she eliminated, which subdivisions she put on the list. A few other subdivisions that are on her list are gonna be Shenandoah and Trappers Crossing. In that video, we talk about how I have a friend who does have some friends with kids in those subdivisions as well. I'm not gonna say there's tons of kids in those subdivisions, but there are some. Don't want to get too nuanced here in this video. There are some subdivisions up in the Animus Valley north of town where there are kids. It's just very hit or miss in the sense of I can't necessarily point to one or two subdivisions where there's a ton of families and there's not very many retirees. There's a very good mix throughout. One more subdivision where we have friends that have kids is going to be in the Three Springs subdivision. That is a subdivision my wife pointed out earlier as well. So again, reach out if you're curious at all about these specific subdivisions. If you would like a drone tour of any properties or any neighborhoods that you haven't seen online, let me know. More than happy to help you guys out. I'm a licensed realtor here in Durango, Southwest Colorado, as well as New Mexico. Just give me a call, text, email. Love to connect with you guys. Just talk about what you're looking for, talk about your criteria, help you kind of dial in that search and really help you make it a smooth and seamless process when considering moving out here. Looking forward to connecting with you guys. Again, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to this channel, especially if you want to see the future video. I'm going to do all about the schools in Durango. We'll see you guys.